I'm back in the project in the default view whenever you start Power BI Desktop, the report view in the data model. In the data model, we have 4 different core areas. We have these ribbons on top here. We have these 3 buttons to the left. We have this center part, you could say, with the content of the corresponding view. And we have these columns to the right. Let's get started with these 3 buttons maybe, because if you think back about the slide regarding the workflow, you see that the data model consists of the report view, the data view, and the relationship view. And we can switch between these 3 views with these buttons. The default one is the report view, where the report, the current visual, is displayed. Then we have the data view with the underlying data in our data model. And we have the relationship view. This doesn't help us too much at this stage, as relationships are all about establishing connections between different tables in our data model. At the moment, we only have one table, therefore this is not too helpful at this stage. But the important thing is, depending on the view you select, different types of content are displayed here. Now, we see here in our relationship view that we have the table name up here and our column names or our fields. And these fields can also be seen in the right part here, because if you expand the menu here, you see we have these fields once again. And this fields column is also available in the data view right here and in the report view, because the fields indicated here as the corresponding column names contain the underlying information in our data. And with these fields, we can then interact with the content in the corresponding view. For example, in the report view, if I select a current visual, I can interact with it. For example, I can unselect the GDP or edit, or I can drag and drop new values into specific areas of our visual. Same thing can be done in the data view. If I go there too, I can select a specific column, for example, right here, right there, or right there. So fields are the interaction part between our content and define what should be displayed here. Now, when we had a look at this fields column, we see that in the data view, we only have one single column, so just the fields. In the relationship view, we have 2 columns, fields and properties. Properties will become important later when we work on relationships. And in the report view, we have 3 columns, fields, visualizations, and filters. We used the filter already here to filter for our top 10 countries by the GDP. So these filters allow us to specifically tailor the information that should be displayed in our visual. And here in the visualizations column, we have the option to interact with our current visual. For example, here, when it comes to the type of data that is displayed in the visual, or right here to change the style, the format of our visual by disabling or enabling the category labels, or by changing the visual type by simply selecting a different one, like this or like that. So these are the 3 core areas down here. We can switch between different views, which has an impact onto our content that is displayed and also onto the columns here displayed to the right. But it's all about fields and the corresponding content in the end. What about these ribbons up here now? Well, these ribbons also change depending on the view and depending on our selection of the content in the corresponding view. I selected the visual here in the report view. Therefore, I have 2 additional ribbons, format right here and data drill. If I unselect that visual, these ribbons are gone because I can't interact with a specific visual as I didn't select one. If I go to the data view, you see we have these column tools here. We have these column tools because we previously selected a column, scale right here. If I select country, well, column tools are still available, but now for the country field or the country column. And if I go right here to the left and click onto GDP data, so our table, then the column tools are gone. Now we refer to our entire table. If I go to the relationship view, for example, you see we don't have these ribbons. We only have home and help for the moment. Talking about the home ribbon is available in all different views, and it summarizes some core features, you could say. Options available in all different views are data and queries. These are all about the connection to our source files and about access to the query editor. If you go to the relationship view, to the home ribbon, you see we also have data and queries. Same thing is the case here. In the report view, we also got data and queries. We still got some unique options, also depending on the view we are using. For example, in the report view, we have this insert option related to creating new visuals, which can also be accessed in more detail here in this insert ribbon. This would not be available here in our data view, as the data view is not about creating visuals. What we have in both though, the data view and the report view, are these calculations. Calculations will create new columns or new fields. Therefore, if I create a new field, I want to see this field maybe here in the data view, or I want to use this field here in the report view. Therefore, if you go to modeling right here, you also have these calculation options. So this is a first glance at the interface and at the different ribbons. It's just important to keep in mind that we have different views with different purposes and different options available. Two last things here maybe when it comes to the interface. Here we can save our project or undo or redo our last action, also quite helpful feature. And here in the file ribbon, we have options related to the Power BI file itself, like saving data or like accessing the options and settings. So that's the data model, but what about the query editor now?